Hey guys, this will be a short video on two different types of data. By and large, in mathematics, we separate different types of data into two broad categories. One is called categorical data. Sometimes it is called qualitative data, and the other is quantitative. Categorical data is what's going to separate things into different categories. So for instance, we could talk about, like, if I was describing someone, I might describe their eye color. And this is going to be a categorical piece of information. We can separate people into different categories. We could talk about the color of car. This is going to separate cars into different kinds of categories. The other type of data, quantitative, is going to describe a numerical characteristic of that thing. So for instance, if we were talking about people, maybe height or weight could be something that could be described quantitatively. If we described how tall someone was or how much they weighed, say like in pounds or in kilograms, that number, that numerical value is describing an amount of something, a quantity, hence quantitative. And so we can broadly separate data into two broad types. The one thing to be careful of is that just because something is a number doesn't make it quantitative. I can give an example. Calculators are quite often described with numbers. For example, Texas Instruments has different kinds of calculators, like a TI-83 and a TI-89. The 83 and the 89 would be describing the calculator in some way, but it's not going to be quantitative because it's not a quantity. It isn't 83 of something. The TI-83, the 83 part is just a name. It doesn't have any meaning. This is categorical data. And then, for instance, like license plates, if your license plate, had like a bunch of numbers in it, just because it's numbers doesn't make it quantitative. It will be categorical. So let me go through a few examples. So let's say that we're describing some basketball players. So if I were to describe the height of a basketball player, say like in inches, in inches, that's an amount of something. It's going to be a number. It has meaning. This is going to be quantitative. What university a player plays for, that's going to be categorical. It's not a number. It's describing something about them. So this is going to be separating them into different categories. Points per game. Points per game would be a number. It is an average. It is a mean. And it would be describing something, an amount of something. It is describing a quantity of points. Hence, it is quantitative. Shoe size is a little bit trickier. A shoe size, say like an 8, 10, 13, 5, whatever, those numbers actually have meaning. So when you compare a size 6 to a size 7, that has meaning. A size 6 is slightly smaller than a size 7. And for instance, in other countries, they'll just use the length of the shoe. So it would just be in centimeters. So shoe size is often going to be quantitative. Jersey number. Again, this is a number. So if you wore number 23 versus number 24, that number doesn't have a meaning in the sense that it doesn't describe an amount of something. Michael Jordan wore number 23. It doesn't mean that he was 23 something. It doesn't refer to a quantity of something. It is just a name, like a label that we can distinguish between different basketball players. Even though a jersey number is a number, it is not quantitative. And then what position you play, whether we describe it with names or whatever, these are not going to be numbers. So your position in basketball is going to be a categorical piece of information. So here's what I just discussed. The heights, points per game, and shoe size are all going to be numbers that describe an amount of something. Your university and your position isn't necessarily a number, so it's clearly going to be categorical. The hardest one is jersey number. So even though it is a number, it doesn't describe an amount of something. It doesn't describe a quantity. Hence, it is categorical.